Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and happy Lunar New Year. Today we're making lion's head meatballs, which is traditional to eat during the Lunar New Year. To start this dish, we need some aromatics. So I have a 1.5 piece of ginger, just cutting this into 4 thin planks. We also need 2 scallions, chopping this into 1-inch pieces, but keeping the whites and the green parts separate because they're going to go in the braising liquid at separate times. For the meatballs themselves, we need about 1.5 teaspoons of minced ginger. So just giving these a nice little choppity chop and mincing this up as finely as possible. Once this is minced up, we're going to add this to a pound of fatty ground pork. The fat ratio is pretty important for these meatballs. We also need 1 scallion, just minced up, both the white and the green parts, and 3 cloves of garlic. Just add that to the bowl, and now we're going to add 3 tablespoons of plain breadcrumbs. And for our seasoning, we're going to add in, and also 1 egg to bind. For the seasoning, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing Wing, 1 tablespoon of regular soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of Chinese fire spice, 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground white pepper, 1/4 cup of cold water, and 1.5 teaspoons of cornstarch to also help bind this together. Now we're going to mix this for 10 minutes in one direction until it becomes tacky. Once that happens, we're going to smash up 3.5 ounces of water chestnuts. Just smash it like you would garlic and give that a fine mince. Add that to the pork mixture and give this one final stir to make sure those water chestnuts are incorporated throughout. At this point, you should also be heating up your stove with a pot of oil to 350 degrees. Now to form these, I'm going to measure these out with this ice cream scoop into 8 separate bowls. 8 is a lucky number. So we're going to form these in the bowl for 2 reasons. We're not going to overwork the pork, and this is very sticky. So this is just an easier method. Now, once your oil has reached 350, I promise I didn't just plop that in. My camera battery died. I gently lowered these in, just 2 at a time. And we're only gonna let these fry for 2 minutes. We're par frying these right now. Once they're golden, we're gonna pull them out and let them drain on a plate. And then in a separate wok or saute pan, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil and add in our ginger slices and the whites of our scallions. We're gonna let that stir fry for 1 minute before adding in 10 grams of rock sugar. If you don't have rock sugar, just use 2.5 teaspoons of brown sugar. And we're gonna cook that till that melts before adding in 1 tablespoon of Shaoxing Wing, 1.5 tablespoons of light soy sauce, 1/4 teaspoon of dark soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, and 1.5 cups of water. We're going to let this come up to a boil. Mix that all together. And once it comes to the boil, we're going to add back in our meatballs. And we're going to cover this with the lid and let this cook for 15 minutes. But going in after 7 minutes and flipping the meatballs over so they all touch the braising liquid. So once they're all flipped, we can pop the lid back on and cook for an additional 8 minutes. Now after 8 minutes, we're going to take off the lid and pull the meatballs out and rest them on a plate. We're not going to throw away this braising liquid, we're going to pour this over the top. So we're going to bring that up to a simmer again, add in a slurry of 1 teaspoon of cornstarch and 1 teaspoon of water. Cook that until it's thick enough to coat the back of a spoon. Then add in our scallion greens and 1/4 teaspoon of sesame oil. We're just going to cook this until those greens wilt. And to plate, I have some steamed bok choy, just arranged really beautifully. We're going to place our meatballs on top of that. Then we're going to pour the braising liquid directly on top. And this is looking beautiful. And since it's the year of the rabbit, I thought I would use my rabbit chopstick holders. I just got these from Etsy and I absolutely love them. They're adorable. Now let's go ahead and give this a taste. The pork itself is super tender. You taste all those aromatics in there. Because we didn't overwork this meat, they're juicy and succulent. It's picked up that braising liquid. This is like sweet, salty, just absolutely perfect and delicious and very, very satisfying. but these are definitely something I will make again, and I hope you all try to make them too. But there they are, lion's head meatballs. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I really do appreciate it. If you liked this video, give it a like. If you loved it, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because I put out new videos every Thursday. Thank you again. Happy Lunar New Year, and until next time, happy cooking.